Block 1. The Sound That Awakened the Soul. He was only 4 years old when something impossible happened. The mother remembered that late afternoon clearly. The sun poured through the window and the house was silent until an old song began to play on television. It was Billie Jean by Michael Jackson. The boy, who had never heard that voice before, stopped in the middle of the room. His eyes widened. For a few seconds, he stood frozen, as if time itself had stopped. Then, slowly, he began to sing perfectly. Every syllable, every note, the tone, the breath, the gestures, everything was identical. The mother stared in disbelief. "Where did you learn that?" she asked. He replied with the innocent calm of a child who didn't understand the weight of his own words. "Mommy, that's my song." But what this child revealed next made the impossible seem real. If stories like this touch your soul and awaken your curiosity about the mysteries of life and reincarnation, subscribe now and join us. Together, we'll uncover the secrets that science cannot explain, but the heart remembers. In the days that followed, the boy began to say things that left his family in shock. While playing, he would whisper strange, disconnected sentences. "The lights are too bright on stage. The fans cried when I danced. I was scared when the father yelled at me." The mother thought it was imagination, but something deep inside told her there was more. One night, he asked to watch an old video of Neverland, Michael Jackson's legendary ranch. As soon as the video started, he pointed to the screen and said, "That's where I used to play with the monkey. That white house? I slept there." No adult could deny it. The boy had never been exposed to anything about Michael's life. There was no way he could have known those things. But he knew. He knew too much. The doubt began to grow. Could it really be coincidence or the memory of a life that hadn't yet ended? The mother, confused, began to record her son's words. In the recordings, the boy described the stage, the costumes, and even the dancers in vivid detail. Once, when shown a photo of Michael's brother, Jermaine Jackson, he whispered, "That's my brother, but he doesn't hear me anymore." The sadness in his voice sent chills through everyone present. It was as if the boy remembered something time hadn't erased, only put to sleep. What struck everyone most was his naturalness. He didn't say, "I was Michael Jackson," like a child inventing a fantasy. He said, "I am," with the quiet certainty of someone who believes, or someone who feels that it's true. The story quickly spread throughout the city. Curious people, skeptics, and spiritualists began to discuss it. Some said it was just musical influence. Others believed the child was an indigo soul, one of those rare beings said to be born with heightened sensitivity, memories of past lives, and a purpose to awaken consciousness in humanity. But what this child would soon reveal would go beyond any logical explanation. Because he didn't just claim to be Michael Jackson, he began to prove it. One morning, during breakfast, he grabbed a napkin and began to draw. He sketched a circular stage, lights all around, microphones, and a star-shaped symbol. The mother watched him, and then she realized the drawing was identical to the stage from the Dangerous World Tour of 1992. "Where did you see this, son?" "I didn't see it. I was there." She looked it up online, and the shock was undeniable. The boy had drawn details only someone who had actually been on that stage could remember. It was as if Michael's soul was speaking through a new body, a new time, a new voice. From then on, the boy began to react emotionally to Michael's songs. When he heard "Heal the World," he would cry quietly. He said he missed the children, the fans, the shows. But the most unsettling moment came when he looked into the mirror and asked, "Why did my face change, Mommy? Where are my shiny gloves?" The mother, unable to answer, simply hugged him in silence. She knew that somehow her child wasn't inventing anything. The boy said he had vivid dreams where he saw crowds, stages, and flashes of light. He described the moment when the body got too tired and the lights went out. And then, according to him, when he woke up again, he was already here, with a different face, a different name, but the same heart. And if souls really do return, how would the world react when one of them remembers who they were? As the months passed, the child became a living enigma. Teachers said he had an extraordinary sense of rhythm and pitch for his age. The moment he heard a beat, he would start to dance with uncanny precision. Not like someone imitating, but like someone remembering. Some psychologists called it cryptomnesia, the reappearance of forgotten memories. But the details were too deep, too precise to be coincidence. The family began receiving calls from curious people and specialists. One day, a well-known reincarnation researcher decided to investigate. He recorded hours of interviews with the boy. Each question was answered calmly, as if he were talking about his own past. When asked what he missed the most, he said, "The music and the love of the people. They made me feel alive." The researcher left the house in silence. Before leaving, he asked the mother if her son had ever been to Neverland. She replied, "Never. He's only seen it in videos." He took a deep breath and said, "Then prepare yourself, because what he remembers when he gets there might change everything."
Block 2. The Return to Neverland. There are places in this world that do not belong only to the earth. They belong to the memory of the soul. The news spread faster than the mother could have imagined. In just a few months, the story of the boy who claimed to be Michael Jackson reincarnated reached every corner of the world. Newspapers, forums, and spiritual programs began to talk about him. But the moment that would change everything was still to come. An American documentarian decided to invite the family on a journey to California. The destination, the legendary Neverland Ranch. The proposal was simple and risky: to find out what the boy would remember when he set foot there. No one was prepared for what would happen. Because what this child did the moment he crossed the gates of Neverland silenced even the most skeptical. If you believe that there are memories that go beyond body and time, subscribe and stay with us. Here, every story is an invitation to see life and the soul with new eyes. The trip was long. During the flight, the boy kept his eyes fixed on the window, as if searching for something only the heart could recognize. The mother watched him in silence. Every now and then he whispered softly, "We've been here before, Mommy. I remember that river." When they arrived at Neverland, the wind felt different. The ranch was quiet, surrounded by a serene melancholy. Without waiting for anyone to say a word, the boy simply began to walk. His steps were firm, as if he had known the path forever. He followed a trail of white stones until he stopped in front of a small wooden house. He pointed and said in a confident voice, "That was my room. I used to leave the light on because I was afraid of the dark." The producers exchanged glances. Later, they confirmed that this was indeed one of the rooms Michael Jackson used when he wanted to be alone, and no one outside the team had ever known about its existence. The cameras recorded everything. The boy described each detail: the mirror, the carpet, the scent in the air. It was impossible not to feel chills. He wasn't just recognizing the place, he was reliving it. Then he approached Neverland's old carousel. The lights were off, but he touched it gently and whispered, "These were my friends. When I felt lonely, I talked to them." The mother covered her mouth astonished. In an old interview, Michael Jackson had said exactly the same thing. "When I felt sad, I went to the carousel to remember what it was like to be a child." Coincidence? Or the living memory of a soul that had returned? The team followed him speechless, but the most powerful moment was yet to come. While they filmed, a strong wind swept through the ranch. The boy stopped and looked up at the sky. Without anyone prompting him, he began to sing, "You Are Not Alone." His voice, tuned, mature, and gentle, echoed as if Michael himself were there. The notes, the tone, the emotion, perfect. The mother cried. The technicians looked at one another, unable to explain what they were witnessing. And when the song ended, the boy whispered, "Now he can rest." The silence that followed was heavy and sacred. Even the wind seemed to stop. It was as if Neverland itself had breathed a sigh of relief, as though something unseen had finally been set free. But the documentarian knew he needed more proof. In the days that followed, he and his team reviewed every recording, every gesture, every word. In one video, they noticed that the boy was reproducing dance movements with millimetric precision, though he had never learned them. When they slowed the footage down, the resemblance to Michael was undeniable. The body was that of a child, but the soul seemed to carry memories that had crossed time. Then the dreams began. The boy said he saw a smiling man dressed in white, surrounded by golden light. He says he doesn't need to come back, that I already brought him with me. The mother began to write down everything. His words sounded like a farewell, as if a part of him had come only to complete an ancient promise. On the last day in Neverland, the boy asked to visit a specific tree. He pointed to the tallest oak in the garden and said, "That's where I used to write my songs." Michael Jackson had said the same thing in several interviews. That was where he wrote, prayed, and talked to God. When the boy placed his hand on the trunk, something inexplicable happened. A soft breeze passed through the garden. The leaves began to swirl, and a white light surrounded him for a few seconds. He smiled and said, "Now I understand." He came back to remind us that music is love, and love never dies. The recording equipment captured a sudden burst of light, with no visible source. To the technicians, it was an exposure error. To the mother, it was a sign. If you believe the soul is eternal and that love always finds its way back, leave your voice in the comments. Say, "I believe that nothing is lost, everything transforms." Your words may help this message reach someone who needs the same awakening. That evening, as they returned to the hotel, the boy fell asleep smiling, and before closing his eyes, he said, "Michael isn't trapped anymore. He's dancing again." But what the experts would later discover when analyzing those recordings would reveal something that would change everything we know about reincarnation.
Block 3. The Proofs of the Invisible. When science meets the unexplainable, it falls silent. But sometimes, silence speaks. The videos recorded at Neverland found their way into the hands of researchers from different fields. Among them were the American psychologist Dr. Samuel Langer, a specialist in memory regression, and the spiritualist Dr. Eleanor Vasquez, known for studying spontaneous past life memories in children. Both agreed on one thing. The boy didn't seem to be pretending. He seemed to be remembering. In the audio recordings, the child's voice frequency changed subtly whenever he spoke about Michael. His tone became deeper, his speech slower, and his gestures identical to those of the singer.
Dr. Langer analyzed the material with scientific precision. He noted that the boy displayed emotional memories typical of legitimate regressions: fear, remorse, and nostalgia. But what intrigued him most was the naturalness. "He isn't acting. He's feeling," the doctor said. When they compared the recordings of the boy's voice with old interviews of Michael Jackson, the result left everyone stunned. The sound frequencies matched 87%. Coincidence? Or a vibration that transcends body and time? Dr. Eleanor Vasquez went even further. In her spiritual analysis, she claimed that the soul carries acoustic impressions, a kind of vibrational signature that manifests even after reincarnation. Sound is memory, and the soul is made of sound. Her words divided opinions. Some called the case a miracle. Others dismissed it as collective self-suggestion. But the more they tried to disprove it, the more details surfaced. The border between science and spirit began to blur, and each new discovery made the impossible feel a little more real. During one interview, the boy was asked a question few dared to ask. "Do you remember what happened at the hospital on your last day as Michael?" He went quiet for a few seconds. His gaze became distant. And then he answered. "There was a lot of pain. A man with a mask. Then, light. And when I woke up, you were my mom." The entire room went silent. There were no public videos describing that scene. And yet, his words matched the details found in the leaked medical reports years earlier. It was as if the soul was finishing a puzzle that the body had left incomplete. Searching for answers, the specialist decided to compare his case with others around the world. In 2004 in India, a 6-year-old girl claimed to have been an American singer who had died in the 1980s. She also remembered songs, names, and sensations. But her story was never proven. The difference was that this boy's evidence went beyond words. It was in the energy, the gaze, the voice, even in the spontaneous gestures. High-speed cameras captured something extraordinary. During moments of deep emotion, a faint electromagnetic fluctuation surrounded the boy. Lights flickered, microphones picked up subtle frequencies, and the room temperature dropped. The team called it the Neverland effect. Electrical coincidence? Maybe. But it only happened when he spoke about the stage or about the children. It was as if the very atmosphere responded to his memories. Science tried to measure the invisible, but how can you quantify something that lives in the field of the soul? Spiritualists said the boy wasn't merely remembering, he was healing a fragmented spirit. According to Dr. Eleanor, when a soul departs in pain, it can return quickly to restore energetic balance. Michael died feeling the world had forgotten him. Maybe this child came back simply to remember what true love is. Dr. Langer, on the other hand, insisted it could all be genetic memory, vibrations inherited through collective resonance. But even he seemed shaken by the depth of the boy's words. During one interview, the boy was asked, "What is reincarnation to you?" He answered, "It's when the heart comes back to finish what fear didn't let it begin." That sentence changed the course of the entire investigation. The team decided to return to Neverland one last time, bringing the boy with a set of energy sensors. This time, there were no cameras for television, only instruments, recorders, and silence. When the boy entered the ranch, the energy readings spiked immediately. Magnetic waves shifted within seconds. At that exact moment, he began to sing a melody no one recognized, soft, angelic, and entirely new. The lyrics said, "I came back to remember what love is, not to be remembered." The technicians recorded everything. When they played the tape later, something incredible emerged.
A faint, duplicated voice echoed beneath his, identical to Michael's. Dr. Eleanor began to cry as she listened. It's not about proof. It's about remembering that the soul doesn't die when the body does. The session ended, but something had changed. Even the skeptics began to admit that they were witnessing something that defied logic. In the final recording of the day, the boy looked directly into the camera and said, "People think I'm Michael, but maybe Michael just wants them to remember love." The golden light of the setting sun filtered through Neverland's trees, illuminating his face. For a brief moment, it felt as if two presences shared the same space, the past and the present, the artist and the child, fame and innocence. But what happened after that recording went far beyond what any camera could ever capture.
Some truths are not meant to be proven. They are meant to be felt. After the Neverland effect, the team decided to conduct one final experiment. No cameras, no microphones, only the boy, his mother, and a silent room lit by a single white light. They wanted to see if, away from curious eyes, the mystery would still persist. The boy stood in the center of the room. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, as if he already knew what to do. Then, slowly, he began to move his hands through the air, making gentle gestures as though conducting an invisible orchestra. The mother watched, moved to tears, and then he began to sing again. But this time, it wasn't any song the world had ever heard. The words flowed in a soft, unknown language, melodic and serene. The vibration in the room shifted, the air grew lighter, the temperature rose slightly, and an indescribable peace filled the space. When the song ended, the boy said something that silenced even the air around them. In a calm, tender voice, he whispered, "He's fine now. Michael doesn't cry anymore. He said he came to teach me to sing the love he forgot." The mother broke down in tears. The boy approached her and wrapped his arms around her. "Mommy, I'm not famous. I'm just his memory learning to be a child again." Those words transcended time, belief, and reason. There was no longer any doubt that the soul that had once been an icon was here only to heal. Meanwhile, the researchers gathered all the data they had recorded. The analyses revealed that during the boy's singing, his heartbeat slowed to the same rhythm observed in monks during deep meditation. There was something beyond the physical, something that transcended human boundaries. Dr. Eleanor wrote in her final report, "If the soul is energy, this child is living proof that love is the force that brings it back." But the story was not over. That same night, something extraordinary happened. The mother woke up around 3 a.m. She heard faint footsteps coming from her son's room. When she opened the door, she saw him sitting on the bed, staring out the window. "There's a light outside, Mommy." She looked, and there really was. A small golden sphere floated in the garden, pulsing softly, like a fallen star. The boy smiled. He came to say goodbye. The light slowly ascended and disappeared into the night sky. In that same instant, the boy lay down and fell asleep, peaceful, as though he had fulfilled his purpose. And that was when the true meaning of it all began to reveal itself. Days later, the boy was invited to speak on a small local radio program. No script, no rehearsal. During the interview, the host asked, "If you could say something to Michael Jackson, what would it be?" The boy smiled and replied, "That love doesn't need applause, and he doesn't need to come back, because he's already everywhere." The host was speechless. That simple phrase spread across the internet, shared by millions, not as proof, but as a message of spiritual reconciliation. The documentarian, now convinced he had captured something divine, decided to release the film under the title The Child and the Light of Neverland. But mysteriously, days before the premiere, the servers were hacked. All footage disappeared. Only a few low-quality fragments survived, and a single physical copy that the director had kept himself. Coincidence? Or perhaps something or someone chose for this story to remain a secret, shared only by those who believe with their hearts? Maybe the truth about the soul isn't meant to be shown, only lived. Months passed. The boy grew quieter, calmer, more present. He no longer spoke about Michael or the stage, but sometimes, when he heard a song playing somewhere far away, he would close his eyes and whisper softly, "Thank you for letting me sing a little for you." The mother wrote in her diary, "Today I realized my son isn't Michael, but maybe Michael is a piece of my son." She finally understood what few ever do. Reincarnation isn't about being someone again. It's about continuing what was left unfinished. And what had been left unfinished was something that neither time nor fame could erase. The love he wanted to give, but never knew how to receive. One morning, the boy woke up and said, "Mommy, I dreamed of a crowd. I was singing and the sky was full of stars, but this time I wasn't alone." The mother asked, "Who was with you?" He smiled and said, "Everyone. I was just one voice among many." And then she understood. The real stage wasn't physical. It was the human consciousness, the place where every soul sings its part in the divine song. The documentarian visited the family one last time, leaving them a copy of the original tape. He said he had dreamed of Michael the night before, and that Michael had told him only one thing: show the love, not the mystery. They watched it together in silence. The final scene showed the boy standing in golden light, smiling, and a child's voice echoed, "The world is a stage, but the sky is the audience." What happened years later, when that boy grew up, would prove that the memories of the soul never fade. They only change form.
Block 5. The Soul's Final Performance. There are memories that do not belong to the past. They belong to the infinite. Years passed since that summer when the world met the boy who said he was Michael Jackson. Now he was 9 years old. The innocence still lived in his eyes, but something within him had changed. A quiet serenity, the presence of someone who understood life beyond time. He rarely spoke about what had happened. He said the memories came to him like dreams, fragments of images, distant sounds, the echo of applause that faded in the wind. But above all, he felt gratitude. His mother continued writing in her diary, recording every subtle change. "She doesn't want to be an artist," she wrote. "He wants to teach music to children who have no voice." And perhaps that was the true purpose of it all. Because sometimes the soul does not return to shine again. It returns to help others find their own light. One day, during a community music class, the boy began to play the piano. No sheet music, no preparation. The melody was simple, but it carried a warmth that filled the room. The other children began to smile without knowing why. One of them said softly, "It feels like someone singing with you." The teacher recorded the moment and shared it online. The video spread like wildfire. Millions of views in just a few hours. In the comments, Fans from the past wrote, "This sounds like something Michael himself would have composed." And maybe it was. The song was titled Light Inside Me. But unlike Michael's songs, it wasn't about fame, crowds, or applause. It spoke of forgiveness, rebirth, and purpose. I am not what the world can see. I am what love brings back to be. As the song spread around the world, the documentarian decided it was time to reveal what he had kept hidden for so many years. He uploaded the original tape, restored, unedited, to an independent platform. It showed the boy singing "You Are Not Alone" under the golden sunset of Neverland. Millions watched, not searching for proof, but for meaning, for connection. Critics tried to explain it away: manipulation, coincidence, suggestion. But those who listened with open hearts felt something else: the invisible touching the visible. And for the first time, it felt like Michael was smiling again through another soul. After that, the boy stopped giving interviews. He only said one sentence: "The story isn't mine. It belongs to those who believe that love can return." Years later, as a teenager, he sent an anonymous letter to a spiritual magazine. It said, "Fame is a mirror that shatters the face. Love is the mirror that reveals the soul. I didn't come to be remembered. I came to help you remember." No one knew who had written it, but those who read it said they recognized the voice behind the words, a familiar echo, gentle and eternal. Perhaps that is the secret of old souls. They do not return to repeat history. They return to finish the song. The documentarian passed away peacefully years later. In his home, they found a handwritten note. If music is energy, then Michael never left. He only changed frequency. Beside the note was a photograph of the boy smiling at sunset in front of Neverland's carousel. The golden light formed a halo around him. As if time itself had paused to capture the moment, two lives became one. Neverland remains closed to the public, but locals say that at dusk, if you listen closely, you can hear a faint melody drifting through the fields, a child's voice singing with the wind. Maybe it's just an echo of the past, or maybe it's the future remembering what still needs to live. Because the soul does not walk in straight lines. It dances across lifetimes like notes of the same eternal song. Today, the boy teaches music at a children's shelter. None of the kids know who he once was. But whenever one of them doubts their worth, he tells them, "It's not about the stage. It's about the heart that hears you." And so quietly, he fulfills the destiny that brought him back, turning pain into melody. His mother, tears in her eyes, once said to a reporter, "I thought God had given me a singer, but he gave me a mirror to show that love never dies." The narrator's voice softens. The world knew him as Michael Jackson, but maybe the universe knows him as something greater. A soul that came to teach the sound of forgiveness. And if reincarnation is nothing more than love's echo trying to continue, if every note we hear is a memory of what we once were and what we will be again, then perhaps no song ever truly ends. Silence. Then the sound of children's laughter in the distance. The same laughter that once echoed through Neverland, now free, now eternal. The screen fades to black. A final sentence appears. Stars don't die. They just move to another place.